Hello, everybody, and welcome to Brick by Brick, the community podcast where we build the community one conversation at a time, brick by brick. I have a very special guest for you tonight. And before we jump in, I just want to give a couple shout outs to our sponsors, Kidstown Indoor Playground. My kids love going there. You should take your kids there. It's a safe, sanitary place for your kids to have fun indoors. The owner is amazing. Support your small businesses, support Kidstown, and also Lakewood Rental. If you live in Lakewood, you've seen the place. It's Woodruff and Delamo. They've been around forever. Mick is a good friend. Go support your local small businesses, and go next time you have a party, and we're going to be talking about parties here in a second. Make sure you get your rental equipment from Lakewood Rental. And also, we have the Walk for Kids. Ronald McDonald House, Walk for Kids. 3 years ago, was it 3 years ago, Steve? We had the largest team that the Walk had. I think we had 150 people out. I'm very passionate about it. For my daughter, Victoria. We have our team, Victory for Victoria. My family stayed at the house when Tori was in the hospital, and it's a cause near and dear to my heart. And I hope that you will consider jumping on the team or making a donation when the time comes. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be really good. And hey, without further ado, my good friend, Rick Fernandez.
Man, good to see you.
You didn't like the headphones?
I didn't like the headphones.
You gotta put them on, man.
It's so new to me, but
it's the best.
I was telling Brad before the shows how impressed I am by all this. I thought it was gonna be something small, and then these cameras are all in your face and these lights, and I'm just very impressed by your setup here, buddy.
Thank you. I'm overcompensating with the equipment.
And thank you for having me here today. I'm very impressed. I want to start the show off by thank you. I just want to start the show off by saying how proud I am and very impressed of where you are and what you're doing.
Thank you.
The city of Lakewood, Bellflower, would be very lucky to have you running their board one day, and I'm there to back you all the way, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And what's really cool is you've been around Lakewood for a long time, and we are actually fellow Lakewood alum.
Correct.
And we're actually Go Beach too. We actually graduated from the same college
Long Beach
too.
State, yes.
Yeah. And so being a Lakewood kind of homegrown Lakewood person, and tell me what have you learned since high school? What are some things you've learned since high school?
What I've learned since high school?
Yeah.
Man.
Because look at us. So we're in like coats. We look all mature now.
Life is about experiences. That's what I've learned since high school. You have to stay very curious. You have to be eager to learn different things, until you find what is your thing.
Yeah. And we are going to talk about the newest app, and we're going to really dive in there. But before we get to that, tell me what were your experiences that led you to the InstaParty app and founding that and being the CEO of InstaParty?
Well, being in college at Long Beach State, I noticed that a lot of my fellow friends and stuff were always looking for ways to make money. And whether there were bartenders, DJs, we had girls that were makeup artists. In college, you're just looking for ways to make money. And I started noticing, being a Latino, growing up being a Latino, you have a birthday party or something every week. We have big families, and that's really big. Gatherings, parties, events, they're more than just a party or event. They're to get together and bond and have a good time, And in college, I noticed so many people looking for ways to make more income. I started thinking to myself, like, wow, this is a big problem here. There's something going on here. I started noticing on Facebook and Instagram that a lot of my friends were promoting their business or their services. Hey, man, don't forget, I DJ, I do weddings. And I just thought to myself, like, dude, I know that you do. I know that you DJ, but I'm not having a party or event. Right. And so unfortunately, their reach was they're small, right? They're 300 followers.
Well, that's the thing with like Facebook, right? And I've done it a few times, but like you're talking to people that already know you.
Exactly.
So it's not really the place to like do a bunch of marketing. That's where it gets, it can get, very claustrophobic if you're just, seeing the same people market the same things, where you really have to go somewhere else if you want to reach new people that don't know that you offer that stuff, right?
Right. So my idea was just a light bulb went off. And another thing we're talking about, what did you learn after high school, is what's very important is about who you know, right? There's a lot of people out there saying, well, college is a waste of money, a waste of time.
Not if you do it right.
Not if you do it right. Now, hear me out. Now, after going through the whole college experience, I mean, even myself, I came out of college, didn't even get into what I studied, right? But and today you got a lot of these.
So what did you study?
I studied psychology and marketing.
Okay.
It was a combo. I think it was the most beautiful combo. Even though I didn't go into psychology, it just got me ready.
Did you go into the psychology of like colors and stuff?
Got into psychology and everything. How the mind works.
Yeah, but like colors, like, because like colors are a big part of marketing.
Huge.
Right. So like McDonald's, like the red and the yellow, like it creates like urgency. You want to get in and get out.
That's what people don't understand, is that marketing is psychology. You're learning ways to mind trick people into doing things or thinking things and choosing your product or service.
So like what I do is like I painted the stuff teal to make people think I'm smart.
Is that what that is?
I just made that up right now.
Oh, okay, but it looks awesome.
But it sounds pretty legit.
I mean, honestly, if you did this yourself, when I get my studio, actually, I'm gonna have you come in interior design it.
I think that might be one of my passions, man. I think I'm just like this interior decorator, just waiting to.
I am impressed by all of this. I am impressed by all of this.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but honestly, you should see the first studio I did. Like it was basically just a table and a camera, and you just like you have to have the first one to get the second one.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
So psychology and marketing.
Correct.
And then from there you went into finance.
Got into finance. I was very intrigued by the stock market. And that's something I wanted to talk about is college. What I benefited from college was the networking. Yeah. Right. You're going to a place every day. You're waking up, whether you hate it, you love it. You're still trying to find out what you want to do in life, but you get to be around people that actually are in the same situation you are, where they're trying to do shit too. They're trying to figure things out. Right. They want to, and everybody brings their own specialty or their own knowledge to the table. For example, I'm a great salesperson. I'm a great talker. I'm very creative.
Have you always been a good salesperson?
I'm huge on this. You either have it or you don't. Really? I think it's a character thing. You have to have a specific character to be able to be a salesperson. Yes, I believe in that. Really? I truly believe in that.
I mean, I do too. I'm just a contrarian.
Yeah,
I'm always on the opposite side.
Some people agree with me on that. Some people don't.
But there is a middle ground, right?
There is.
Like you can teach a bad salesperson to be an okay salesperson, but you're not going to teach them to be a great salesperson, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Because I mean, really, sales is, I find the people that do really well in sales are the people that do a lot of personal development, because a lot of what scares people from sales is lack of confidence, the fear of rejection, all these things that stop people from asking for the sale or having a money conversation, right? Mm-hmm. So like those people who like really invest in like the personal development side of things, I think that they can do okay. Have you ever done any personal development?
Yeah, I mean,
like, do you like read the books?
I read a lot of books. I read them all. Yeah. You can name a lot of them, and I probably already read them. You got to read. You always got to want to do better for yourself and what you're trying to do. And the knowledge is out there. I mean, it's in the books. It's online, and I think that's very important in any aspect. Whether you're trying to do sales or start a business or anything, you got to always self-develop.
So you went into finance, and what was your first finance job?
So I got involved with JP Morgan on the investment side, and long story short, it was very boring. Yeah? It was very boring. I got involved because I was very intrigued by the stock market, but once I was in, I realized how boring that industry really is.
Even it's not like the Wolf on Wall Street all the time?
When I went in, I thought that's what it was going to be like, but really it was just, hey, we got to get these people to invest with us, and that's your job. Get these people in here and invest. And it was like the same thing over and over and over.
I'll be honest, I never even got into the stock market until I got into crypto. And
That's the hit. That's the hit right now. Everybody's talking about crypto.
Yeah. So I got pretty.
Let's not get into crypto because we could talk. We could talk days.
You heard me
crypto.
last week.
Right.
I was. Can you turn the? Turn the headphones down. That's good. Yeah, because you heard me talking crypto the other day. I'll go deep. I'll go.
But you knew your stuff. I was very impressed.
I just regurgitate what I've heard. I really don't know.
I don't believe
that. But I think that's honestly. I really feel like sometimes it just matters when you're in. You have to be interested in something to really learn it, right?
Right.
And if you're interested in it, you hear enough of it. When you start talking, you're like, oh, I'm saying things like, but they're all just stuff that you heard, right?
Right.
Like, I'll be honest, there's a lot of stuff with crypto and NFTs. I'm like, I don't understand it, but I can speak it. It's like a language, right? Like I'm not you could speak words.
But let's be honest, that stuff is pretty tough to learn, right?
It really is, man.
It's very new.
That's why I feel bad. Not feel bad. It sounds pitiful. Like, I have compassion for especially older generations that are kind of getting thrust into this new economy.
Right.
And they're expected to swim. And it's but the principles are the same, right? So I guess I can't feel too bad. But yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, all right. So you went into finance. ADD's on like high alert.
No worries.
So you went into finance, JP Morgan, too boring. And then you pivoted to what?
I started talking to myself saying, hey, Rick, what are you good at? Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I knew one thing. I didn't want to have a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people could relate with that. But the problem is they just don't know where to start and what to do. And that's where I was. I mean, I think that's where everybody starts at, right?
Yeah.
And I started a marketing firm out of JP Morgan. It was pretty successful with the same guys that I started InstaParty with.
Okay.
And back to that, after I found the problem to this niche market was people trying to find more work and then people having parties and events, not knowing where to find these people.
Right.
So I started going to these cool parties like with JP Morgan, corporate parties, and they had bartenders and fire dancers and, great catering. And it's like, where do you find this stuff? Right. I literally went home and Googled these things like fire dancer and bartenders. And sure, there's various companies and a lot of things that, pop up, but nothing that could verify like the credibility. Are they good or not? So that's how InstaParty was kind of born.
And it's more, you'd have to go to each one, right? So say you're throwing a party and okay, so you have to Yelp fire dancers, right? So now you're
But see, talking about Yelp is for businesses.
Right.
So when I came up with the InstaParty idea, it was to give a home to vendors, individual, solo people that offer services for parties and events.
Got you.
So this InstaParty is somewhat of a Yelp, but it's more catered to the photographer, the DJ, the bartender, the catering service, the taco guy, the fire girl, the violinist, the piano guy.
Are there any apps that you would say are in the same ballpark?
No. At this moment, no. Obviously, we did our research. That's another big part of, starting a business. You got to do your research. You got to see what else is out there. Starting any business, you got to see what problem you're solving, right? And once you get that down, there's obviously a lot of other little things that fall into place.
So let's talk about that. What is the problem that you're solving?
The problem I'm solving is, think of this, a Yelp, an app, whether you're having a corporate party or a kid's party, or having a wedding. Wouldn't it be nice to just launch one app and literally book everything from A to Z for that one event? So let's use a kid's party. You have daughters, don't you? Mm-hmm. How old are they?
4 and 7.
4 and 7. Let's say their birthdays are coming up. You're thinking about having something special for them at the house. You launch InstaParty. You're able to find face painters, catering, kind of food, bouncers, rentals, all kinds of things all in one place. Mm-hmm. Not only that, you'd be able to negotiate those prices with these people, send them messages, right? And let's say you don't have time to negotiate or look for things. You just know you want a DJ that plays 80s music. You'd be able to create a post on the app and let those DJs bid on the job and come and apply, and you'd be able to log in and choose and message them and ask them questions until you feel comfortable enough to book them.
That's sweet. And I recently started using for like editing and like creative work, which is a totally separate thing than what we're talking about. But once I started using that, it's similar in structure. It's the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. Because rather than like trying to find the specific person and basically interviewing each person you're going to work with or contract with, making that proposal structure of, hey, this is what I'm willing to pay, this is what I'm looking for, and then you send it out into the interwebs,
the marketplace,
and then they all come to you, and the person who is willing to work for that is coming to you. So it's not even like that awkward negotiating where you're like, hey, so I know you usually charge this, but this is all I got. It's like, no, you came to me and you knew how much I was your
budget's there.
Right. I think that's like, that is a game changer right there. Like, it really does put the power in the consumer's hands.
Right.
So the marketplace, like for the person, but it's also a huge benefit to the vendor, right? Because what's the one thing that, and you know this, mm-hmm. and you know, and I'm familiar with it from, you know, marketing. What do people spend, you know, the most money on as a vendor?
That's
marketing, getting the customer.
That's one of the biggest things that I kept in mind developing this app is helping the vendor, right? These poor vendors, you know, a lot of these people that offer services. That's the thing about this app. I want everybody to keep in mind that it's an app for, I mean, I don't want people to be freak out and say, hey, I don't got money for a bartender. I don't got money for a DJ, right? But this app is for literally everyone. You could be a bartender straight out of bartending school that's open to get gigs.
May not be the best bartender.
May not be the best bartender, but
get what you pay for.
$20 an hour, right? But you could get a mixologist that's charging you $300 an hour, but he's going to give you the best.
Exactly. But not everybody needs that for like you know, if you're serving one drink, you're just like, listen, you just got to be able to make a mimosa and, you know, not cuss at the
guest.
Yeah, the guest. And then like, you don't need the $100 an hour person. You really just need somebody who can do that task, right?
Right.
So that's cool because it really kind of, you know, it again puts like the power in the consumer's hands.
We call them Instaplanners.
Instaplanners.
And Insta vendors.
So tell me more about the app. So you open up the app, like what is going on in the app? Like, paint the picture.
So right now, the way we developed the app is we separated the Insta vendor and Insta planner.
So there's two separate apps. So there's a vendor facing, and then there's a planner facing. So
the vendor would be able to download an app and create a profile just like they would Instagram, right? They would be able to upload photos, videos, create their little packages. Think of it as a website or of an Instagram page, and everybody is going to be able to have their own unique username. That's the awesome part about it. So not only are we helping you market your business or your service, you're going to be able to use your username to direct the traffic to InstaParty, to your page, so people can see your packages. What's the number one question people always ask vendors? How much do you charge? When are you available? Do you have videos? Do you have photos? Right? So everything's going to be in one profile, and you're going to be able to bring your own traffic using your username. And then InstaParty itself, I mean, everyone's launching the app because they're looking for something. So you're going to be visible to people that are actually looking to possibly book you and that didn't even know you existed before launching that app.
Right. So what are you doing to actually get the app in front of people to where they get to the point to download it? Like, how does that look? I have no idea.
So I want everybody to look at this app as a platform that's connecting a vendor with the planner. We're in no way getting involved, right? So what do I mean by that? So the vendor is 100% able to charge whatever they want to charge, do whatever they want to do. It's completely free to use. Mm-hmm. The way we're getting it in front of people is I want to market it in a unique way. I don't want to market it as, hey, download this app. I want to give out content, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to invite vendors on a weekly basis to showcase something that they offer. So one week we may invite on a chef, right? And the chef could say, hey, I'm Chef Eddie, and I'm going to be able to show you how to create this cool appetizer for the Super Bowl. And they'll show you a quick video on how to do some appetizer for the Super Bowl. And then maybe at the end of the video, he'll say, hey, by the way, I'm on the InstaParty app. If you need catering, check me out. So we're going to always weekly give out free content on cool tips and tricks that you could do for your party or event. And
that content's for people that are already on the app? Or
no,
are you showing it somewhere else?
On our social media platforms, on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
And so the idea is to funnel people from those other platforms and get them to come on over by using that content.
Correct.
Right?
I mean, there's parties and events going on every day, whether it's corporate, kids parties, birthday parties. We just want to make sure that people even know that this app exists to be able to have it all in one platform to find everything they need. So
first thing, obviously, like there's a incentive. It wouldn't be a business unless there was some way that the business was able to profit and grow. Right. So where does that come from?
So the app is completely free to use for the planner and for the vendor, meaning you could download the app, use the app, but as soon as you find a gig and you get booked, we collect payment from the planner and we hold on to that payment and release it to the vendor.
And you said it's about 15%?
We're taking a 15% commission.
Okay. And you know what's cool about that is nobody likes paying a fee, right? But when you really break down your cost as a small business or as a vendor, like in marketing, how much does each client cost? Like you can do those numbers.
You get it because you know marketing.
Yeah. But like whether it's like, okay, you're doing the work by bringing making that marriage between the planner and the vendor, or you're spending money on ads or, whether it's print or digital or all the different ways.
Here's the thing, Brad. A lot of these vendors and business owners don't have the money to spend on marketing. Right. So here's the cool thing. At least
not up front. But once you get the client or once you get the customer, then that money's already there. So it's like 100% of $0 is $0, right? Exactly. So 85% of money that you weren't going to get anyway, that's a huge plus. And then honestly, and I think this is what a lot of vendors end up doing, or people on these, they will end up like kind of adding that 15% to what they're asking.
And that's totally okay.
And that's fine, right? Because the convenience is really coming to the customer anyway. So they're the ones, whoever wants to take the hit, you can, as a vendor, you can say, okay, I'm going to keep my prices and kind of be a little bit cheaper than these other people. And then I'm going to take the hit on the 15%. Or the client goes like, well, I want to get quality, and they're basically paying the 15% for the convenience, but someone's going to take it.
Right. Right. And that's what the app is all about. It's when you ask me what's the app for, I mean, it's obviously we want to make money, right? We're here to everybody's in the business of making money, but the true reason why InstaParty is even born is because I want people to have good times, and I want people to be able to find everything they need in one place, and at the same time helping these vendors get more jobs.
And I think of a place like Kidstown, right? So like places that have party rooms where
it'd be great on the app.
People that are actually doing these parties and like booking through like that, like bringing it on one place like that is huge. So not only are you helping the vendors and the customer, but really it could be a huge asset to small businesses in general, right? So like even I'm sure there's probably something on the app like, do you need party space, right? So like people can book
everything,
space.
Brad. Right. I want venues to be on there.
Give me some examples. When you say everything, show me the spectrum.
So we're talking about what do you need when you have a party or event? First, you need a location, right? Whether you're going to have it at your office or you're going to have it at home.
Fire spitters,
entertainment, catering, music, right? Those are the most important things. And those are just the broad versions of those categories. We actually did a soft launch a couple years ago, and we were surprised of the stuff that came on there with no marketing that we spent. We had a dumpling lady.
A dumpling lady?
You know the dumplings?
Yeah, you have to have a dumpling lady.
No, but this lady literally created a profile and was willing to come to your party or event and not only serve dumplings, but teach everyone how to make the dumpling and then serve the dumplings to your guest.
That sounds pretty cool.
Beer tasting. for your party or event. Baskin Robbins opened a profile. I don't even know how they found out about our app when we did our soft launch. Baskin Robbins of Orange County. I didn't even know Baskin Robbins did catering for parties, for corporate parties.
Neither did I.
So they created, and they took the time to create the packages of how much it would be for each person for this amount of stuff, this amount of stuff. So that just blown us by just that soft launch.
Yeah. So you did a soft launch 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
So how do you do that, man? I mean, it's got to be difficult, right? To like be working on something for so long, right? Like
that's where the entrepreneurship comes in. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
This is where I learned patience.
You know, I realized I'm not an entrepreneur. I used to say like, I got that. I used to post like motivational memes and stuff about, you know, being a lion and stuff and being an entrepreneur. But I realized I'm a small business person. Like I'm a like even when I had the gym for 10 years and I used to say like entrepreneur, but no, entrepreneurs are great at like creating the structure, helping it grow. And then once it starts growing, like they're on to something else. Right. I feel like for me, I'm like, oh, I built this. Now this is what I do now.
I still think that's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Small businesses are definitely entrepreneurs.
But the definition of
entrepreneur is about taking a risk. That's the definition.
Young Jamie, can you pull up the definition of entrepreneur? Wow, I'm curious now.
I think entrepreneur means taking on a risk of starting something.
Hey Siri, what's the definition of entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur means a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so.
I knew it. But here's the thing. But there's so much more to that. My definition of entrepreneur is being uncomfortable. How about that?
Oh, dude, I'm an entrepreneur all the time then.
Man, if you are not okay with feeling uncomfortable, because there's a lot of insecurity, like nothing is for sure, right? You're risking it all. You're leaving your 9 to 5. You're starting something. And throughout my journey, I had people that doubted it. Some people that loved the idea. And
you get a lot of that? You get a lot of
doubt?
I don't like saying haters. I feel like it's an overused term. But
it's
like,
not haters. It's just like doubt. But because you're and this is where this definitely comes into play.
Who doubts you?
I think it's not really they do it on purpose. It's because they don't share that same mentality of an entrepreneur. So to them, it sounds crazy. Like, what are you talking about? An InstaParty app? You're going to be what, next Mark Zuckerberg? What are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
And it's not that they're trying to be haters, just they don't understand.
Right.
And it's happened. I mean, it wasn't until a magazine approached me, Boss Man magazine, and did an article on my partners and I on InstaParty.
How many partners?
There's 3 of us.
Okay.
Four.
Okay.
They did an article, and it wasn't until then when I sat down with that guy and he asked me about how the app started. Just tell me how it started. Started talking to him at a Starbucks. He's writing all his notes, and I was like, holy shit, I went through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I literally had to stop him and tell him, dude, like, I just realized how I could have stopped like 5 times.
Yeah.
And it mind blew because I was just going, that you don't take the time to stop and just realize what you just accomplished or what you just did.
Yeah.
You know, going back when the app first started, and this is the thing I didn't get to finish, was why college is important is the people that I got to meet in college.
Yeah.
Andre Ho, which is now my CTO and partner of the app. He specializes in computer science, masters, right? Sid, he's a finance guy, right?
Yeah, I did like the whole like Avengers Assemble thing.
And that's what it takes. And that's, if you want to talk about that, I'm willing to talk about it. Don't ever for once think that you could do things on your own. I was that guy. I was like, I want to own 100%. I want to. No,
that's like, me, dude. I'm a control freak.
Yeah, because we're the creative.
But it's limiting. It's limiting though. I agree.
But you need the team.
I know. I'm learning though. That's like one thing I'd say. In my 30s, I've grown a little bit where I'm more open to that, because there really is that whole like, if you want to get somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to go far,
take a team.
I think that's how it goes. Wow.
Well, that's how I'd say. That's my saying now. Take a team.
Yeah.
You need a team. You can't know it. You don't know it all. You got to know what you're good at.
Yeah.
What are you bringing to the table?
Right.
What are your skills? and what's missing? Right. You have the idea.
But it is hard with partners though, man, because it's like a marriage. Like, and it's That was one piece of advice I felt was really good was when you draft a partnership agreement, just draft the dissolve agreement at the same time, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and you want it to, when it does happen, you want it to go smoothly.
Yeah.
Right. So
I learned that lesson too, by the way. I felt that when you said it.
Yeah. I went through it too. My first business venture was with 4 partners, and I ended up having to go through it with each one of them. Lucky for us, like it went pretty well. But it's one of those things where it's like, it does get hard, because especially in a partnership, and I don't know if it's in your case, but I just say in general, everybody thinks that they're the one working the hardest. And everybody thinks like what they bring to the table is undervalued by the other ones. And there's going to be times where like, maybe that's true. And then there's times where like, you're over here mentally and then they're working. It can get very difficult.
But I think the problem there is leadership. Because out of the 4, one of the 4 had to be the leader and is responsible for that feeling. You got to make sure that your team feels equal. Because
I like that. Be responsible for the feeling.
Exactly. There's a feeling that goes on. If you make your team feel that way, it's going to be there. And I hold that on leadership. Someone has to say, hey, I created this. I brought this to the table. I thank you for coming here. So I'm going to make sure that I value you and what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I know partnerships are hard, but they're needed, especially with an idea like this where I don't know computer science. I don't know coding.
What would you say to somebody who says launching an app or building an app is easy? What would you say to that? Like, what do people not know? I'm not saying anybody does say that, but like, I know it's been a long road for you. Like, and there's been some things that, you know, are really big speed bumps that we don't have to get into, but financially it's a huge burden. Like, tell me, like, how big of a deal is this app actually getting launched, like getting across the finish line and into the hands of the consumer? Like, how was that journey?
It was a long journey. I'd say about 5 years, a lot of hiccups. The team that I started with is still here, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Right. I'm lucky to have them. It's not easy. I remember being so scared to tell people about my idea. Oh, they're going to steal my idea.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Now I'm where I'm at. Now I'm like, good luck.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the idea. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy, you know.
Yeah.
It's not easy. So now that I look back at that, how scared I was to tell people the idea. People are always like, sign an NDA. Like,
yeah.
People don't have an idea how hard it is to start something like this.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, ideas are easy, right? I mean, you know, good ones can be difficult, but there's been a couple of times where I'm like, oh, I got this idea. But like, I already know I'm not going to do it. Because you have to go all in, right?
All in.
What would you say financially? What would you say you've had to raise for this one
We
venture?
went into different raisings, about over $1 million.
$1 million. And how did you raise the money?
That's good that you bring that up. I get messages in my Instagram all the time, like, hey man, I want to start this app. Can you help me out? And I'm always willing to help people out and give them advice. And, you know, after you have a great idea, the next part is building your team. Okay, I'm going to sell this product. I'm going to be the sales guy, but who's going to help me with this ad? So once you build your Avengers team, next is finances. Are we going to fund it ourselves? And a lot of the times you can't fund these things yourself. And then even if you could, why would you?
Right.
Right? There's so many people out there that want to invest in great ideas. And why not let them? Right? Well, our problem was we couldn't finance something this big. At first, we tried. I mean, I had one of my partners, Andre, poor guy. I mean, this guy had to deal with me through college. I mean, he was an international student from France, and he had to put up with all my crazy ideas because I knew he knew how to do coding. And I was like, hey man, what if we do this? What if we do that? And finally, when we came up with InstaParty, he was like, dude, this is awesome. And he tried to do it himself. And he came back to me and was like, Rick, this is too big. I cannot do it. And that was me being naive, not knowing how businesses are really run in the tech world. Mm-hmm. So the time came he was like, we need to find an investor. And I could have stopped there. A lot of people would have stopped there. And I'm like, who the hell is it?
So at this point, it was you two?
It was just us two.
Okay.
Where are we going to find this money? You know, I asked them, like, how much do you think it would be? And you're talking about technology 5 years ago when I had this idea. It's different now. Now, technology is different. And what I mean is it's involved where the costs are lower now.
Yeah.
When I came up with this idea, the cost to build something like this was tremendous. Yeah. So I just didn't know how to come up with this money. So I had to really sit down and think. Luckily, that's one of the biggest advices I would give anybody that wants to start a business. Networking. You got to know people. If you're going to start a business, you got to be around the right people, talk to the right people, know some people. Luckily, I was at JP Morgan. So all it took was for me to have that client that I was sitting with. Like, hey, you want to grab a cup of coffee? Yeah, let's grab a cup. I have an idea I want to run by you, you know, and be prepared, right? Mm-hmm. So Andre and I would have our investor deck, our data. You know, we paid to have this data ran, right? So we knew it was like a $9 billion industry, event planning industry. And there was no app out there like this that could fulfill what we were trying to fulfill. And I'm not going to lie to you, it wasn't hard to get the money. Once the investors saw the deck, got the idea, and saw that Andre and I, how serious we were and what we brought to the table, we got the money pretty quickly.
And what's the biggest cost for a venture like that?
It's a cost that never ends.
Development.
And guess what? It never ends.
And what about like marketing for it? Is there a lot of budget for marketing it, or is it?
Well, you're dealing with an app that it's a national app. I mean, we could launch nationally tomorrow, right? But it takes a lot of money. So we're definitely going to start small, niche, Southern California, Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, collect a lot of data. These are all things I learned along the way, that you never want to make a decision just based on your gut. You always want to make data-driven decisions. You always want to take a step back and think before you pull the trigger on something.
Right.
Because if you rush into it, your dollar's going to something, and then you're like, oh crap, why did I do that?
Right.
So you kind of have to think it through, especially when you're playing with other people's money.
Right. So when are you going to launch?
March 1st.
March 1st?
March 1st is a launch date. We plan on targeting vendors first. So, an app like this without vendors wouldn't work, right? So we want to make sure that we market to the vendors and we showcase the value that's going to bring to them for being on the app.
Right.
And go ahead.
And how many vendors will it take? How many vendors will it take to make it successful right off the bat?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't know that number, but I know it would have to be a lot, right? If someone like you and I downloaded the app after they saw an ad or saw a billboard, I definitely want to have options if I need to have a wedding and baking cakes or wedding cakes and venues and bands or DJs for my wedding. Right. You want to be able to find
you want to see some competition, right? Because otherwise it's just like one person.
One DJ, right?
Picking whatever they want to charge.
Exactly.
So March 1st, you're going to launch it.
Right.
So what do you need to do from right now to March 1st? Like because I'm sure if you've been working on it for that long.
Right.
And now you're at this like last leg of the race. Like, what are the things that you need to do from now?
So we're going to be deploying out our marketing plan, which is basically going after vendors. We have stuff that we're going to do, which is advertising on social media. So we have a budget set for that to target vendors. We have videos that are going to be coming out explaining the app to the vendor on why to use the app and how it brings value to them. We want to come out soft, right? I know you know marketing, so I've had clients come to me and say, I got $1 million, Rick, spend it all. I need people in my door tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'd say, okay, let's take it easy though. Let's spend $100,000 first. Right. Let's not just throw all the money in one thing.
You got to collect the data and find out where it's actually being used.
So that's what stage we're at now, and that's a stage that's very important.
Yeah. It's also like with content, like somebody could say, "Hey, I need a banger video for my business," and they're willing to spend money on that video. But sometimes I'm like, man, no matter how good this video is, like if that's all you do, like, cause there's a lot of, I do marketing for some businesses, but most of what I do is like video production. I'm like, dude, no matter how good this video is, if they don't deploy it right, it's just going to sit on a page and like get 5 views. It's like, so like deploying content is
It's
huge.
very
And then,
important.
and also having like, there's a difference between advertising and marketing, right? So
Right.
like creating brand awareness is huge. And that's a long game. That's, doing test ads and finding out like what it is like is working for your brand, and then being able to adjust course to make sure that you're hitting all the right targets, right? So that's where you're at right now. So do you have like content that you're
We
ready
have
to
things
deploy?
ready to deploy. I'm going to be on Univision television, KTLA 5, Fox News tech segments explaining the app. I'm very blessed to have those connections and hopefully help spread the word about the app and get these vendors on here and able to get more work.
And how do you feel about the because you told me if we can't talk about it, that's fine. But you did mention like the InstaParty name. There's some question. But
So
but you feel confident you're going to be able to work that out.
So Meta reached out to my attorneys.
Right.
Instagram attorneys reached out to my
Which is a good thing. That means that they're taking notice, right?
Right. I mean, their concern was that about the InstaParty name, but we're working that out this week.
Yeah. And you have people working on that with you?
Correct.
Cool. Do you have like one of your Avengers? Are they like the law contract
He's the
person?
lawyer guy. Yeah, he's not the partner, but I love him.
Yeah.
He's got my back.
You got to have the contract guy or woman. Yes. So March 1st, it launches and you feel optimistic about it. And what's the, 5 years goes by.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like?
For me, I want InstaParty to be a household name. I want everyone to, if someone's planning on having any kind of party or event, I want them to be like, dude, did you download the InstaParty app? I kind of want it to be that household name where if you don't have the InstaParty app, what are you doing? Like if you're going to have any kind of party or event, corporate, kids party, you want to have a poker night with the buddies. If you don't have the InstaParty app, it's like not having a Uber
Oxygen?
app or Oxygen. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you took.
Okay,
I like that one.
I took it too far.
I like that one.
So do you also see people that are vendors? Like, do you see them associating themselves closer with the app?
I see it like a Yelp.
When people,
a lot of businesses can't live today without Yelp. Right. When Yelp first came out.
Yelp is dying though. I don't like Yelp. I'm not a big fan.
I don't think it's dying.
They're like the mob, bro. They're like.
Well, I promise not to get that serious into
it,
but
they're shady. Dude.
I mean, when you think of going to, my girlfriend hits me up all the time. We're going to this restaurant. The first thing I do is go on Yelp and check out their dishes.
For restaurants,
you got to check out the dishes, right? You got to know what.
But on the vendor side, this consumer side, I think Yelp is great. Vendor side, being on that side for such a long time.
They're taking advantage.
It's a racket.
Yeah, I have a lot of buddies in the restaurant industry.
You get that. You stop paying them. So I remember I was advertising with Yelp. It's like $500 a month. They lock into this like 6-month contract. The day that I was like, all right, we're done. We don't have that budget for that right now. Like the 2 bad reviews went right to the top. And I called them like, hey, why did those 2 bad reviews go to the top?
This is for your gym.
Yeah. Okay. And they were like, oh yeah, no, it's just part of the algorithm. But, if you come back on board, we can definitely, clean up your page. And I'm like, oh.
You know why that happens, right? Brad? It's a publicly traded company. They gotta report their numbers. They have to report profits quarterly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they got to find ways to, hook the business owners.
That's why I've been leaning more towards Google lately with that stuff, with even with reviews and stuff.
Google My Business. Yeah.
Yeah. But your app is going to basically be catering to both sides of it, right?
That's the cool thing. That's the cool thing about the app is that once somebody books you, they're going to be able to leave you a review. Mm-hmm. Only if they booked you through the app. So that's going to help you in the future.
Only if they booked you.
Correct.
Because that's another thing too. Like with Yelp, it's like this person never even came to the business, or that person has a restaurant across the street and they're having their it can get real shady. You're like, I remember I had a bad review and I know it was somebody who goes to a different gym. And I'm like, this person's never even been in my gym. So
this is a lot different. They got to book you to leave you a review.
Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, John Buon, he's the owner of Kidstown. He says Yelp really sucks, and I have to agree. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, when I ran my marketing firm, I would advise all my clients that would always mention Yelp. Don't even spend money with them. Don't stay away from them.
If you use it as an organic thing, like you gotta
Of course, you gotta be there.
You can't have. You know what? You can't have a bad Yelp, right? You have to it has to be decent. But even I always say, even with say you get a bad review, it's sometimes those are the gems, right? So say you're a business and you get a bad review, how you reply to that review is going to win, or that's what's going to win you customers.
People are watching the reply.
Because there's more drama in it, right? Like if somebody leaves a good review and I see that like the owner of that responded, I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's cool. But if someone's like, this place is terrible, and
came out cold.
And then you see there's one reply. I'm like,
you have
popcorn. You're like, let's check it. And if you can, craft a good, hey, this is our
my apologies.
My apology,
please come
and this
back.
is what we're doing, and
this will do for you.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, that's sweet. So there's definitely on the vendor side a way of making those things a good thing. But what I was gonna say is say InstaParty is a household name. Correct. And you're going to throw a party and you're like, oh, I have the InstaParty app, right? Mm-hmm. But as vendors, do you see it as people going like, hey, what do you do for work right now? And instead of saying DJ, they go oh, I work for InstaParty. Because that's how Uber is, right? It's or Uber Eats. It's you're like, oh, you do that.
Well, I mean, if you want to compare us to something, think of TaskRabbit. It's a handyman app, right?
Is it? I don't know.
If you're a garage replacement guy, and talking about that, on average people are making $56,000 salary off using that app, finding work through that app. It's unbelievable, that data I came across. They don't say, hey, I work for TaskRabbit. They go, I'm a handy guy, I change garage doors, right? Hey, I have a band, I'm a guitar player in my band and we do weddings.
That's true. But as far as somebody once you get so much business from one place, you just kind of go oh yeah, that's where.
That'd be great.
Because I think I told you that before. One of the things where vendors will do with some situations, work around the platform to save that 15%, right?
So that's one of the biggest questions the investors always had to us, for me and my partners, was, hey, what if these planners go around? Because keep in mind, you're going to be able to message these vendors back and forth through the app. Mm-hmm. What if they get the phone number and go around you and get cashed? That's fine. We still get users. They're still finding value in the app. Mm-hmm. But the thing that sucks for that vendor is they're not collecting reviews. Mm-hmm. They're not collecting bookings. So eventually, as the app grows,
they get left behind.
There's going to be 3,000 DJs in the LA area. Sorry, buddy. You have 0 bookings, 0.
And you could probably track that too, how many vendors, the amount of messages they get initial and then their conversion, because it can make you go
but here's the thing,
these people.
Here's the thing I used to tell the investors: does Netflix worry about you sharing your password and your credentials?
I would never do that. I'm just kidding.
But really though, they launched, they kept going, look how big they are. They're not here worried about you sharing now I think they are. Now they're cracking down.
Are they?
Yeah, there's things that pop up on the screen you're sharing.
Really?
Your red words you're sharing. We're gonna charge you double.
Makes sense.
But before they weren't so worried. So we can't so much worry about that happening. Is it gonna happen?
Well, what you want to do is
will.
incentivize the opposite, right? So what you're saying. So the app I've used for co-editing and stuff, Upwork.
Or Fiverr. Fiverr's a good one.
Yeah. Not a huge. I was using Fiverr for a little bit, but back when it was $5 for stuff. Now it's Fiverr. It's
people make a living off of it. I saw an article the other day. Someone made 6-digit salary using Fiverr.
You know what's crazy? I think because it's Fiverr and it started out as $5 gig work. Now that it's even more than that, even though it's still a great deal, I'm so stubborn. I'm nope, it's not Fiverr anymore. It's if I go to an internet store and it's $2, I'm nope.
You get what you pay for.
I know, but it's in the name. They shouldn't have
Fiverr.
Anyway, yeah, I just so Upwork is basically the same thing,
right.
But it's just Upwork. But so there was a editor, and it is a bigger gig, right? So it's I'm going to pay this person a nice chunk of change to do some work for me. And I asked him, I'm hey, how much is this platform taking from you? Kind of given the courtesy, do you want to stay on this platform, I mean, I'm all for like, free market, like they're providing a service, they should get paid. But with a big thing like that, it's like, okay, what's going to make most sense here? And he was like, they take 35%.
That's huge.
Yeah. And when you're going to pay somebody $1,000 for something, it's like, dude, 35% is a lot of money. And I was like, well, I can just Venmo you, dude. Like, you don't need to pay.
So you guys were going around the app.
We're talking in the app about that. And it's like one of my first times using the app, right? And he was like, no. Let's just stay here because I'm trying to get my reviews.
That's
exactly
the great thing about this app is that you want those reviews.
Yeah, and he's like, I need to do like 5,000 worth of work through the app, and then he's like, where I make it up is once I hit that 5,000, then they decrease my rate, but I'm also in a different tier where I can charge people more, and I'm like a preferred, like I'm a just a level up on in their vendor list. So it's like, yeah, people can like go around and like shave some money off, but if the vendors have an incentive to stay on the app, that's all you need, because they're the ones who are ultimately going to make that decision, and you can't police every single vendor, right?
And we're not here to police the vendors. We want to give freedom to the vendors. That's the difference between us and other apps, is we want them to be able to, when they get a bad review, defend themselves.
Yeah.
Reply to that, and if you want to do a refund, you could do everything through the app. The app is it's fully for the vendor to be able to control their business and run their business. We're even going to offer them at the end of the year a tax form, letting them know how much they made through the app for the year for their tax purposes. I mean, this thing is fully prepared to cater to the vendor's business and services.
Are you going to accept cryptocurrency as payment?
Something we're talking about in the future.
One day.
Connecting with, we're partnership with a bank.
Okay. So now kind of zooming out a little bit. Okay, so launch is going to go great. InstaParty is going to do awesome. Once you have that successful foundation, I'm sure you're still going to keep working, and there's some growth, and that takes work. But outside of that, what do you do from that point, from somebody who is involved in the community? You and I have had conversations about like really caring about Lakewood, and kind of where you have roots and like giving back. What are some ideas you have on like what giving back looks like, and how do you approach that?
So growing up in Lakewood, I know a lot of the business owners in the area. We've met with one of my buddies from Genkiaki.
Yeah.
Owner of Genkiaki. Has been there for 15 years. He's been up, down. And I had a talk with him the other day, and he was talking about wanting to give back to the community. I mean, Lakewood is it's a great place. I grew up here, went to school here, and I wanted to see it grow. And now that we're all in the position to help, I feel like it's an obligation for us to do that. And it's great to know that my fellow peers feel the same way, business owners and individuals like yourself that want to run to help the community. And I think that's awesome. And I think how we could help the community grow is focusing on the kids, the children. Yeah. I think the children are the most important. I mean, technology is growing and changing so fast that I feel like we need to prepare the kids for that.
Yeah.
In the schools, hit them in the schools with special curriculums and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I will echo that. I think it's really cool that, growing up, like seeing like my peers, like doing cool stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, cause there is like that, we're 35. Are you 35?
Yep.
Okay. Like, the 20s, you're kind of figuring it out and stuff. Then like the 30s, I feel like that's when you really start to like the roots are there, and you're thinking beyond yourself, right? You're thinking about like, you really get like this long view of like how you're spending your time,
right,
and like what's really going to come of that. Because everything before this, at least for myself, is very short-term viewed of like, man, I worked really hard this year. These are my results for this year. It's like, I don't even think about it like that anymore. It's just like what I'm doing right now. It's all like
compounding.
It's like there's that like snowball effect. It's compounding. And it's like, I care more about putting in the effort to plant seeds as I am to like clip the flowers, right? So it's like, it's all just, and it kind of goes back to what we're talking about, like with networking. Networking is one of those things where like, you can always see it too. And I know I'm going on a tangent, but hear me out. Like if you go to like a networking brunch or something, or like a networking and people, there's always like that really eager person who has like their, you know, they look like they're on like the sidewalk at Vegas. They're just like with their cards, you know, like handing out their cards, like, and they're really eager to like
close the business.
Yeah. And it's like, when you change your mindset on what networking really is and like where it can be most
it's relationship.
It's relationship. So it's just planting seeds. It's just, it's fostering a relationship. And when you try to do that with like a quick ask or trying to make a close or trying to make a dollar, it doesn't work that way. So like to see, like for myself, like,
and even if it does, it won't last.
Right, exactly. Because number one, like people see right through it, and then number two, it's like there's really no investment when it comes to that relationship.
Right.
So it's cool, like getting to the stage where I can see, you know, whether it's, you know, with you or with Steve or with, you know, a lot of my close friends. It's like I can see I'm not the only one who like really cares about investing in relationships and watching those things benefit and grow over time, right? So it's cool, and it's just good to see, you know, friends and people that are my age, like actually doing stuff and like getting out in the like community and like just doing bigger things. I think it's really cool because it's, you know, again, it's not like you know, when you're younger and just like have a little burst of energy and like, you know, do something. It's like doing it for the long haul. It's really cool to see.
And that's why I'm very proud of you and what you're doing, and you're actually taking action, you know, and you're running, and I'm very proud of you. And
I haven't announced yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's like the worst kept
I'm sorry
secret.
that I just
it's
the
fine.
secret. But I'm very proud of you because you're actually willing to step up and be that face and be that action, right?
Yeah.
And then you got people like myself, David, the owner of Genkiaki, other restaurants, business owners that you know in Lakewood that back you, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm very happy that you're doing that.
Yeah, thank you. I think it really kind of comes down to like what we've been talking about of like having a, you know, a sense of purpose, and you know, like this is my town, and I care about it a lot, and I think it's about time people that are, you know, in our age range kind of just step up to the plate a little bit, you know? And that's something like I want to see like everywhere, right? Like,
and you don't have to step up, and I don't want people to get scared when you say that, like step up, you have to do something like you're doing, right?
Yeah.
But everyone could pitch in somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess step up, like, trust me, running for public office is not for everybody. It's kind of like the app thing where it's like, you know, if somebody said, oh, you know, I'll run, it's like, good luck. Like it's a lot of work, right? And but more step up just like participating. So like if I were to go to like a car show or the concert in a park, or like these things that are like community things that are, you still don't see people our age yet. And it's like it's kind of starting to, you know, that we're getting a little bit older and people are starting to have families and stuff. But step up as far as like just like, you know,
show up, support.
Yeah, build the community a little bit. This was like for example, this is probably one of the best Halloweens I've ever had, like with the family, because like I see people my age actually doing the thing, you know, like we're like doing things as a community, right? Awesome. And it's just I feel it. Like Steve there, like he just bought a house in Lakewood, you know, like just, you know, whether we're like having a party in you know, like the front yard, you're starting to see, you know, your friends that you grew up with. Like, you know, our daughters did a wrestling practice at Mayfair High together. And it's like, I remember being in the wrestling room with Steve at Lakewood High. Now we're watching our daughters in a wrestling room, you know, I mean, it's Mayfair, but close enough, you know, and like, there's this feeling of, you know,
joy, like to see the next generation come on. Yeah.
But it takes leadership, like you said, and also takes a lot of a mentorship too. So is that something you see yourself? Because you, I mean, really just even how this conversation is going, I could feel like you have a lot of like mentorship qualities, right?
Thank you. Yeah. So that's definitely something. That's why I definitely in the future see myself helping the kids like answer questions for people that want to start an app or start a business, right? Because it is scary, right? You just don't know where to start, and maybe you just need that one mentor or someone to go to and ask those right questions and then get them answered to get just enough confidence to start or to make that leap, that faith, that jump.
Right. I think it's,
and that's how you give back.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't matter, success doesn't mean millions of dollars. You know, that's one thing I hate people think like, oh, you're not successful. You don't have a Lamborghini. You know, that's not success. Success is actually trying things, failing. Some of them work, some of them didn't. But guess what? I'm 15 years ahead of you, and I might be able to save you some time, some headaches in teaching you what not to do, what I did wrong. And I think that's how you give back, by even taking the time to do that. Because I've met people through my journey that don't do that. That either they do it and they want to sell you something, or they don't want to tell you something. They're very private. And I don't think that's right. I think you got these younger generations coming out and they're excited. They want to start something, they want to do something, but they don't have that person to help them, to mentor them, to get them excited over that fear of starting.
Right. It reminds me of the saying, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like the knowledge was never yours to begin with. Like it's all, knowledge only dies when you don't share it or something like that. Anyway. Like everything you know, you've learned from somewhere else. So if it stops at you because you're being selfish and like not sure, like that's like the worst thing you could do, right? Mentorship is huge. And I feel like you have to have the experience. You got to get the bruises and the scrapes yourself so you can kind of save other people from that. But also, man, it's like when it comes to mentorship, like especially with younger folks, just them knowing somebody cares enough to take the time is huge. So I would see something like that for you to like do like a workshop for like high schoolers, you know.
I've always thought of that, going back to Lakewood and maybe doing a talk or speech, you know. Right now I'm very busy with the app, but once the app starts going,
once that gets
always
going,
go back and
or even the new STEM school. I think they just opened up 9th grade. It's like just like the STEM, so it's like all, you know, trades and technology for high school students. So
that's awesome.
Like that'd be cool to do a talk there.
I'd love it. Let me know.
Yeah. So all right, coming to a close. Tell people what to expect. Give the elevator pitch and like kind of what the next steps are, what to expect, and kind of wrap it all up in a nice bow.
So just expect an awesome all-in-one app to be able to book your next party or event. Find everything you need for your party event. Find unique, cool things that you probably didn't even know existed out there, or services that you never even knew were out there for your party event. And for vendors, just know that there's going to be an app coming out that's going to bring tremendous value to you and your business and services, and going to help you grow and help people find you and book you. That's very important.
Awesome. And where do they get more information? What's the
so InstaParty.com right now, or you could follow us on Instagram, Facebook at the InstaParty App, and the app will be available March 1st on Google Play and Apple Store. Dude. Brad, I'm proud of you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It was fun. And you finished that whole cup of vodka.
I saw you down it before it started. I sipped it. You downed it.
I swear. Thank you for watching Brick by Brick. Keep building the community one conversation at a time. Brick by Brick. Man, I say that so much.
And I love the name.
I know.
It's awesome.
I know. It got stuck in my head.
Brick by Brick by Brad.
Brick by Brad. The Brick. See you guys later and see you next time.
Happy Wednesday.